Welcome to the channel, everyone. I'm Chris P, and this is the first video I've done. And I will say, not the first video I've made on YouTube, but the first video from this channel. And I've really tried to figure out what it was going to be, and kind of settled on Dave Ramsey with the student loan forgiveness being struck down in the Supreme Court. There's a lot of debt talk going on, and most of you are familiar with Dave Ramsey. He's a big proponent of living debt free, and he does tend to advocate for people to pay off their debt, which is a good thing. You should always pay down your debt, especially the ones that are more consumer oriented. So credit cards, car loans, furniture, whatever. Definitely pay those off. I think he goes a little too hard on some of it. So paying off your low interest mortgage, paying off some more interest free stuff even before other things. I think he goes a little too hard on that in some cases, but for the most part, his advice you won't go wrong if you follow it. I guess is my point. It can't hurt you. But one thing that's been an issue that keeps coming up is the student loan forgiveness. Now, Dave has that mindset. It's a boomer mindset, a boomer conservative mindset, if you want to say it. It's not because of his age. This is a mindset. That's why I say it that way, because you can have a boomer mindset and be 20 years old. That's just boomer is a state of mind. It's not an age. So I know there's plenty of people out there who don't think this way, but he has this mindset that you paid it, you took the loan out, you pay it back. And now, getting into how he got his start, I think a lot of people know this, but maybe you don't. His big claim to fame was, of course, he declared bankruptcy and started his, basically Dave Ramsey system of paying down debt and whatever. But he started off taking out millions with an M, millions, not thousands, millions of dollars. And he's very honest about this too. He's open. He's not trying to hide it, but he's very open about it. Took out millions of dollars in debt when he was in his 20s, and he got this debt because his daddy, his parents, knew people at the bank. He was basically his personal relationships with the people at the bank. He was able to get these loans. Now, in a perfect world, if things went the way they're supposed to, he would have been fine. The issue is he was basically flipping houses, and the market fell out from underneath them, and he was using short-term construction loans, essentially, so stuff that rolls over either every month or every 3 months, something like that, and he couldn't pay it back, so he had to declare bankruptcy. And when he declared bankruptcy, depending on how it shakes out, he, of course, gets a huge chunk of his debt just written off. Now, it does hurt them. It does follow him for almost a decade because of it. That's how bankruptcy works. But you get it. You get a lot of it written off. You might have to give your assets if it's like a house or something. You get that taken out. Depending on how it shakes out, you might end up just paying on it for a little while, paying minimum payments, something like that. But it all boils down to it's gone. You don't have to worry about it anymore. It's after a decade later, when he's in his 30s, it's all fine. He can start over again, basically from scratch. It's what I would say if it really was from scratch, because once again, he did have his personal connections that helped him get onto his radio show, and where he was able to start promoting his book and his system and build from there. So now, not only did he have the bankruptcy, which it's a hard thing to go through, even if for someone who was worth millions at the time, it's a hard thing to go through. But he was able to leverage his personal connections once again to spin that bankruptcy, where he had his debt written off, into his multi-million-dollar enterprise today. So I think it's actually worth $500 million, something like that. I could be mistaken, but Ramsey Solutions is immensely successful, and it helps a lot of people. But it definitely was built basically on having his debt written off. And I use this example because of the way his hosts are reacting in this video right here, this clip that Rachel, I think is his daughter, she had on TikTok. I couldn't find it on any of their other sources, but this is on her TikTok that I saw a while ago, and well, here it is.
All right, George, what just happened?
Big news. The Supreme Court just smacked down Biden's forgiveness plan, which means it's over. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be excited about this because it's sad for a lot of people that were hoping.
We want you to be debt-free. So listen, you guys, you want to be paying on your student loans. We want you to become debt-free. So now the power's back in your life. You can control what you can control.
I have way more faith in you guys than the government. Okay?
You guys can do this. Pay off those loans, become debt-free, build wealth, change your family tree, and have peace, financial peace.
If you couldn't tell, they were pretty happy about the court decision, and that's fine. They should be, because it's not a bad decision, especially considering how Biden went about it. He didn't have the authority using that method. Now he does using a different Education Act, but he didn't use it, I think, because he wants to keep this as a campaign issue for him and the other Democrats in Congress. So he kind of thought, hey, if it goes through, then that's a win, and if it doesn't, well, now we've got a rock-solid campaign issue for 2024. That's my thought anyway. But going back to this video from Rachel here, she, and the other guy, I don't remember his name, but they just seemed very, very giddy. And I don't know if it was, I don't know what it was, but it was very off-putting to me. I've seen other personalities in this space react in a similar fashion. Comments on these videos are all mostly the same way, except for their damage control video, which was right after this one. There was a lot of people who also saw the same thing I did and was a little grossed out by how I keep saying the word giddy, but they just were just giddy about it. And there's a difference in how you portray certain things. So you might be glad that this fell through. I think most libertarians, conservatives would be happy that they're not basically spending thousands of dollars to pay for someone's, musical gender theory graduate degree or whatever. That's what they would say. And that's fine, and there's actually some points to that, but you don't come in there and say that you're happy that all of a sudden there's going to be a massive financial burden placed on people. You don't do it. That's not the moral thing to do. It's not the Christian thing to do. Using Ramsey's solutions kind of perspective, it's not the Christian thing to do. The Christian thing to do, I think, and probably the more moral thing to do, you can still have the same level of happiness in the results of this decision. But instead of being all giddy like they were, you come and say, hey, we've been telling you all this for months. We've been warning you that was coming. Get with us now. We can help you get out of debt. We can get this under control. We believe in you. We're here to help you. Let's get to it. You could say something like that. Be understanding. Be empathetic. Instead, nope, they're happy, excited. And I think maybe it just boils down to the general Ramsey solutions out of touchedness, so to speak. It's a common occurrence within Ramsey Solutions that sometimes they have takes that are just they're just a real hard miss. And this one really isn't a bad take. It's just maybe a bad messaging that they didn't realize just because they're in their own bubble. They probably came out of the office going, oh, right, it came through. We knew it would. We're not going to be wasting all this tax money. Oh, let's go make a video about it and get people on board, ready to tackle this debt. So we know they're going to be worried about it. Let's go ahead and get it done. I'm sure that's probably the conversation, and it wasn't the fact that they were relishing in people suffering, but it definitely came off that way. And they did make a video addressing the reaction to their video, and I'll play that right now. We'll talk about it on the other side.
All right, we're back here to address that people think that we're happy about this.
Because we weren't in tears and crying? I don't know.
Okay, here's my thing. We said from the beginning, if this thing passes and you want to take advantage of it and pay off your debt, do it. Like, it's a free country. We want you debt free. But we knew from the beginning, you guys, that it was not going to pass. And we kept seeing caller after caller, you guys on social, waiting on paying off your student loans, thinking that they were going to come in and save you. And we knew that wasn't the case. So we were like, please keep paying your loans. There's no interest.
Yes.
Do this.
So here I say this. Our excitement is not that people aren't getting help. Our gladness is that you're not putting your life on hold anymore with this false hope in a politician.
Yes, you guys,
That's
Democrat
all.
or Republican, it's not even a politics thing. It's a you thing. Like, we've known from the beginning, you are, what we say, the secret sauce. Like, if you want to win and win with money, it's up to you. You got this, you guys.
So hopefully you can tell what I mean by damage control when I say that they made a damage control video. It very much seems that way, especially because they're responding to someone saying, you seem very happy about it. And Rachel had the proper reaction. That's the reaction she should have had from the beginning in the original video, was basically, hey, we warned you about it. It's coming. We want to help you now. Like, we want you to keep paying. We knew it was coming. We're going to help you through it. That's the reaction she should have had in the first video. George, I still don't think he was quite on message there. He brought up this whole thing about, taking your life in your own hands, not relying on a politician. I don't think that's the proper message still, but it is what it is. You get what my concern was, and also, even in that video, people are still ragging him. It just wasn't a good take. Rachel came back. She kind of said the right message eventually, but still wasn't good. And let this be a lesson for other right-leaning, conservative, libertarian pundits, that if you're going to talk about this whole issue, do it with empathy and understanding. You can still be realistic, but also understand that there are some people where this is going to be a huge deal for them. It's going to be a massive adjustment that's going to happen very, very quickly for them. And some people, by their own faults, this is not trying to dissuade responsibility, but it's, yes, their own fault, they're like this now. But at any rate, they are still not prepared for the loans to start back up. They just aren't. And that's going to be a huge hit to their lifestyle. That's best case. You take a lifestyle hit. That's best case. Worst case is you can't even afford it now because of just increased expenses. That is what is going to be the situation for at least a good many people. And those are people you really should have empathy for. But where do we go from here? So I think it goes without saying that student loan forgiveness for now is gone. Like, that's not happening. There's still options out there. The public loan service or public service loan forgiveness, the PSLF, that's still a thing. It works. I can tell you firsthand it works, but also you have to earn it. You have to work in public service for around 10 years. There are some leeways that was given because of COVID, but it's going to be around 10 years. You're going to have to work in public service to get it forgiven. It does work. I can tell you right now, it's happened to me, but you have to earn it. Aside from that, there are a few other things I'm not super knowledgeable about, so I'm not going to mention them here. But for the general public, it's not happening. And you can expect in 2024 for it to be a campaign issue. Like I said, Biden, I think his administration's plan was to either get the win by getting it forgiven or use it as a wedge issue come 2024. I think that is the plan. And if not Biden, whoever's running, but also for Democrats in general, it's going to be a campaign issue because it's a big deal for their base. So look for that. I don't expect the administration to try again using his actual authority under certain education acts to write off a certain amount of debt. He does have the ability to do it. This was talked about, a year ago about methods to do it, for him to have the authority to do it. But I don't think he'll actually look into that because he wants it as a wedge issue. That's my thought anyway. I will have another video coming out that might go more into depth about the student loan issue we have, because it is an issue. I don't think just straight forgiveness would work. If you were to write off all the debt right now, that's fine, but you're going to have Gen Z and Gen Alpha coming up who are going to get right into the same issue, and it'll just repeat itself, and we can't keep doing it over and over and over again. And having just free college for all in the United States of America, I don't know how feasible it would be, considering our size and just vast demographic diversity. But I definitely do think there are ways to keep the issue from happening again. And it's going to require changes to how we think about college and also college funding. But it is doable. You might have heard some of them, but I will go more into depth in the next video. So if you liked what you heard today and you want to hear more of it, do subscribe. Leave your comments below and let me know what you think. If you disagree with me, if you agree with me, that's why we're here. Please be polite and respectful. I'm not coming here to have an argument. I want to have a discussion. So I look forward to seeing it in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.